Yawn. I might
Good
keep that
way.
for the opening. Welcome
Good
to
way to
Laugh,
start.
Cry, or Die, a podcast about things falling apart into a heap of garbage, and then you're like, "Oh, is that garbage pile my life?" And everyone's like, "Yes, that's you."
Hey. Well, they slowly step away.
Yeah. Well, they are generally off-put and horrified. You're like, "So I live in the garbage now?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's you're a garbage person." My name is Steve Wilbury. I am a chronic pain having surgery riddled heap of a garbage man, I guess. And as always, I'm joined by the wonderful Naomi Stray, who is garbage adjacent, I would say.
I'm a seisurist.
A seisurist. I am
It's the easiest
100%.
word.
I'm keeping that as it. You know, Nay, the seisurist? Oh, that one.
Makes it sound like a skill or a qualification.
Yeah. No, you're really good at doing seizures. Like I've seen seizures, but you can fucking seize.
Oh, I
Like,
can do it. Yeah.
yeah.
I think my longest on record is an hour and a half.
Given that you are supposed to call the ambulance if it lasts longer than 5 minutes,
Oh, I was down a
is
side street.
wild.
I was down a side street, half in the bush. It's fine. Before a man found me. So, you know.
You know, that story goes one of two ways. One of them's not fun, and the other one's still not fun, but at least involves like morals. Anyway,
Oh, luckily we had morals. We're good.
okay,
We're good.
that's fine. So this is our podcast where Naomi and I get together, sometimes with friends, and just talk about life on the flip side of normality. Like so far away from normie town that normal people can't even look at it because it's too far away.
And it's unusual for us to look out of it because how do they do it? How do they do normal life?
Yeah, I don't. Well, we're going to have an episode where we talk about how we think normies live, which I'm convinced is that basically everyone has golden shoes and butlers
I like that theory.
and
I
and
think the other way, I think it'd be really boring. I think they just sit around
they
a
just sit
table.
like staring, waiting for events to happen.
Yes. And then just at like 10 o'clock, someone glances at their watch, it's bedtime, and then off they go. That's that's
Just
their standard
literally
lives.
passing the time until their death. Just then there's like one of those like cat clocks on the walls with the eyes going back and forth, and it's just really loud ticking, and that's all they have.
And nobody dare make eye contact.
Oh God, Sharon, I just simply can't today.
They've gone super English. I just
Well, because
simply can't.
well, in my head they're English. These people in a room. If there were ever a people who to sit in a room and not discuss and just listen to a clock, it would
Yeah,
be the
yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
to be very racist about it. Um, so at the start of each show, we have a little week catch up. So just see like how your week's gone. I've had an absolute shitter of a week, so I'm gonna go second because I'm gonna have a right old fucking moan. So
Okay.
Naomi, what's how's your week?
Yeah, well, I was just saying that I buggered my back, which was fun. Um, Apparently sitting on the side of the bath, just taking my shoes off, and was found on the floor there. And then when I started to get my senses back, oh, obviously that was from a seizure. When I started to get my senses back, I couldn't stand up and couldn't really feel my leg, and my foot was all curled up with on its own. Um, and so the paramedics got me into the chair and helped me into the chair because I fell over like a little old
It's
lady. And I did joke them about how they'd find me 3 weeks later crawling across the floor for a biscuit. Because in my head, when old people fall over and are trapped, they always find a biscuit. For some reason, that's there. Oh,
well,
I
that's
must
fine.
have a
That's
biscuit.
safety. You know, everything will be fine if I have a biscuit.
Yeah, again, we're back to the English. Cup of tea and a biscuit and everything will be
There you
fine.
go.
But yeah, they then before they leave me, they have to make sure, yeah, like, see me walk. I'm like, that's not going to happen. Luckily, because they know me so well, they left me kind of half perched in the chair um, with some drugs. And that's 3 days later, and I can move better than I could, but my
Oh,
foot's
is it
still
rolling
kind
the
of
bus?
all bent. My foot is, so it'll get there. I said to them, I'm not crying and I'm not bleeding, so
You're right.
it'll be all
No,
right. Yeah, yeah.
have you got painkillers?
I've got some, yeah, they're gonna be, I've got some tramadol here, but You know,
Tramadol
that's
is
all right.
the worst. I hate it so much.
I mean, it works, but kind of makes me feel a bit sick, but
It
it helps.
makes me feel horrible. I just have like just a bad reaction to it. It's just ick. But yeah, hey, I guess it's better than like pure opium. I don't know. Never actually had opium.
Like olden days Victorian opium.
Yeah, like old like Chinese immigrant in a house, like
Yeah,
head on a thing, and then
a
like the
proper
lady.
opium den.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's like a fantastically ornate way of doing drugs, isn't it?
It's just the best, I
It's,
think. If I'm gonna
yeah,
do it, I'm gonna take a day out, go to a special house. It's not a crack house. It's
not a
like
crack den. It's
no.
like an elegant drug taking.
You know what? I think maybe what we should do is what if we rehabbed crack and made like instead of a crack house, it's a crack den or a crack credenza.
A crack lounge,
Crack. There it is. There we go. I could market the shit out of that.
much more dignified.
But the thing, I think opium lends itself more to laying around in divans and being fabulous, whereas I
Yes,
think crack lends itself more to like breaking the furniture.
and scratching your own face and pulling your nails off.
Yeah,
That's the kind of yeah. Whereas
that's the
yeah,
vibe I
opium
get.
sounds even the name though, like crack sounds harsh, whereas opium sounds kind of comfy,
Mm, yeah.
cuddly. Some
Although I
lovely
bet
opium.
I got it right. Okay, here's how you make it work: crack bouncy house,
Yeah, that softens it.
and then
Yeah.
you're on the crack, and then you can just bounce around and jump off stuff and just be on crack.
Oh, and then you get two crackheads who are about to have a fight, but then they'll get the giggles because they just bounce past each other.
See, it's
Perfect.
base. I think we've solved the drug war.
Let's contact the government. See,
It's
I think
quick.
a bouncy house solves everything anyway because my life would be quite gentle if
Yeah, why
I
don't you live in
spazzed.
a bouncy house?
I keep thinking I should, but that's the equivalent of a mental asylum, isn't it? An olden days one.
Well, it's not padded room, it's bouncy walls. So, it's
Oh, isn't that just like PR talk?
yeah, but it's shades of grey, but at least you're not like, when I think padded room, I think like a mattress basically on the walls. It would
Yeah,
also
true.
be very loud.
Would what a padded cell?
No, well, a padded cell would, I presume, be quiet except for your anguished screams. But a living in a bouncy because they've got those big fans to live in a bouncy
Oh,
castle.
true, true. Yeah, you couldn't live in there for ages. You just get a bit of a headache from that.
Yeah, you get tinnitus.
Mm.
That's the only problem with this plan.
That only downside to living in a bouncy house. All right. Well, I mean,
Uh,
but crackheads would be fine with that. They can,
yeah, that's right. They don't crack. They don't know any better.
that's fine. Yeah.
That's fine. Um, so I can't. So my week has been just an absolute bastard. He said turning Irish for no reason at all. Um, so did I tell you guys about my wrist last week? I can't remember
Mm.
because I'm an
Yeah,
idiot.
yeah, repetitive.
So yeah, I got my carpal tunnel is still there and is still annoying, and I'm going to see a physiotherapist about it today.
Okay.
And then I've also got this thing in my knee that like I had a weird step and it's just been giving me jip for about a month now. And it's
Mm.
finally taken a month of like combined knee and wrist bullshit to wake up the pain cycle, pain flares that I've had in my brain. So for the last 6-ish months, I've really basically gotten on top of my pain and I haven't had a proper pain flare where it just overwhelms
Mm.
my senses and I can't think or talk. Like I
Mm.
have pain and it's uncomfortable, but I'm not swamped. And last night, for the first time in months, just my nervous system was just like, no, I'm going to shit the bed. And I was like,
Fuck.
fuck.
And when that happens, is it an instantaneous thing? Is it like you're in a lot of pain and it gradually gets worse and you know it's going to happen? Or is it kind of like a bombshell and you're like, fuck?
It's kind of like how to explain it. So it's like feedback, right?
Mm.
Is that so it like I'm used to my legs will hurt or this or that. Like I'm kind of and I could just cope with that. But the pain as it's there for too long, it builds and builds until it's just this like loud echo of itself. And the echo of the pain is louder than the actual discomfort from the knee.
Right, right.
So, and then at the same time, like sensory inputs become really harsh.
Hmm.
So, like bright lights or no, or like a loud noise from a TV, like literally will make me flinch.
So it's like your brain is taking the tiniest little sensation from every single nerve in your body, and if
Yeah.
they're all being overwhelmed with pain, then anything on top of that.
Well, it's so the nervous system learns. This is probably better for my like how pain works episode, but since you asked. So like your nervous system learns, right? And as it learns, like and it learns what you pay attention to. So as pain becomes like the dominant factor in your life, it sees that there's all these pain factors and that, oh, if pain happens, we should make that signal extra loud because it's very important because it happens all the time.
Right, right, yeah.
But then by that, because the sensitivity on or like the gain, if you want to be like a nerd about it, is turned up so high, then any other input that comes along your nervous system gets jacked up as well. So
Right,
the
right.
whole thing is just loud. And it fucking sucks. So and then also I've had really bad pouchitis and I've shat the bed twice 2 nights in a row.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So now I have to wear a pad, and that's just like a step backwards.
Yeah, cool. I mean, you've got not much inside left, have you?
No.
You're pretty much a tube from your mouth to your butt.
Well, we
You're
all
kind of
are
like a
really.
drop hatch. Yeah, but you're an immediate drop hatch, aren't you?
Well, no, I've got a pouch made out of the end of my small intestine that keeps
Hmm.
everything together. And then when sometimes the uh probiotics, the bacteria inside the pouch get messed up one way or the other, and then the pouch gets inflamed and it causes pain and then nighttime leakage and all kinds of other really just unpleasant things. And right now
Mm.
I've got, oh, as well as my knee and my wrist, I've got quite a stabby pain in my stomach going on. So,
That's a shit week.
that's a shit. And then I spilt water on my laptop and it died. And I spent 3 days going, well, fuck, I'm going to have to find $2,000 from, I believe, somewhere inside my asshole or go to my
And
parents, which is always just a great feeling as a
oh, it
grown up.
is. Isn't it great as an adult
Yeah. I
needing
mean, like,
assistance like that? Yeah,
it
yeah.
really is just the best. Um, But then my friend Glenn fixed my laptop, which has been great. And it got me thinking about the topic for this week's chat as we smoothly segue into the main meat
Nice
of
work, nice
the
work.
podcast. So good. When I initially thought of this topic, I wrote it down as giving up. But I think that giving up, it's a very specific context. It's not giving up on everything, it's giving up on the fight against things being the way they are.
Yes, yeah.
And that is a huge step for anyone in a chronic health journey. And I think a big step for just anyone who is having, struggles with their life. I harp on about it a lot, but just because we have chronic trauma doesn't mean that other people's suffering isn't valid.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, completely. And I think as well, when you say giving up, people seem to rightly immediately jump to the conclusion and that means you're going to put yourself in harm's way. You've given up and that's it, you
Mm,
don't care what happens to you. But it's not that dramatic. It's kind of more of a giving up an ideological way of living. Like your previous hopes and dreams have changed, so you've given up on what you thought was going to be your life
yeah,
path,
yeah.
and so it's not this like dramatic. Everything sucks. I give up trying.
It's not like a
It's
tantrum.
yeah, yeah. It's just that you have to give up and almost give away
Mm.
the control over part of your life.
Yes, yes, very much so. Like,
Mm,
like when my laptop exploded,
mm.
I like to think that like someone who hadn't given up, as it were, like this merely the fact that this had happened would be an enormous obstacle that like, oh my God,
So
my
you
blood.
mean like our English family sitting
Yes, like our English,
waiting for turn?
Margaret, the laptop has exploded. I shall expire. But I was like, well, shit.
Yes, yeah, no, totally. So on the laptop thing, I get through a laptop probably once a year, once every 2 years.
Oh, because you
because
smashed them.
I smash them, I throw them. Yeah, and so like my
You're
current
supposed to
one.
take care of them.
Well, when I first get one, when it's all shiny and silver, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I will take the protective film off so delicately, and I put it there, and I'll pick it up awesomely, and then within a week, it's like it's got dings and scratches and bangs. Like the one I've got at the minute is doing pretty well. I think I've had it for about it's actually getting on for 2 years. This is pretty old, this one. Um, but where the USB cables plug in, they're kind of smashed. There's a crack in the bottom of it that I'm aware is going to just go completely.
You know, if you have a
Um,
crack in the bottom of your laptop, the bottom just leaks out.
Well, all the information, all the internet.
Yes, all your personal data will just pool in your lap, and then you just sit
Damn.
there having to stare at your internet history in
So I have
shame.
to have to go mop up my history before anyone comes round.
That made me giggle so much my camera fell over.
Don't drop it.
Don't drop
But
your
yeah, yeah.
camera.
So like saying that those sort of things that would be possibly a big issue to people become kind of minor inconveniences. It's like, oh yeah,
Yes.
there we go again. Like breaking your favorite cup.
Yeah.
Like in the past, before I was a seizurist, it'd be like, oh no, my favorite cup or grandma's best china or whatever.
Mm.
And it'd be kind of a big deal. Whereas now I broke something and go, yeah, broke a thing. And it's just no real biggie.
Yeah, but and I think that's a real as I don't like to use the word gift or anything, but our the situations that we find ourselves in, whilst obviously are not ideal, it isn't where
Hmm.
you'd want to go, but it does force you to learn these types of lessons. And it
Yes, yeah.
allows you, if you stop being a seizurist tomorrow, you would be a profoundly different person than the Naomi who hadn't been a seizurist for all these years.
Yeah, and on that, it's actually pretty scary because, and I said last week that it's just been the 15-year anniversary of my very first seizure. And it's like, oh my God, sort of makes you reevaluate or, look at where your life was going and where it actually is. And I think, I don't know what I would be like now. Say if I'd never had that first
Mm,
seizure and never had more. It's like, I don't know who I'd be because as much as the seizures, they're not my identity, they're not my defining factor, they impact every aspect of my life.
mm.
And, every day of life is affected by them. So, what would I be like without them?
You'd be boring and lame.
Well, imagine how intelligent I'd be because of my brain wouldn't have been bashed around for 15 years.
Oh God. I mean,
I'd be,
obviously I'm not a seizurist, but when I think back to how smart I used to be before blowing my brains out with cannabis for the last fuck knows how long, and just having my nervous system so disordered, and you
mm,
just can't, like, people can focus and like take, yeah, just, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like when your brain is so taken up with your disorder or illness and various people's things, the amount of space for other information or other impacts
Mm, yes.
diminishes. Yeah, there is less
Yeah,
space. Mm.
there's no, yeah, well, because I think is like kind of on the same topic of, like, the changes and stuff. It's
Your
just
life
gone.
changes. How your
It's just gone. I had a really like salient point, and then my brain just let it go into the breeze, like it does with everything else. I've given up on remembering how to converse.
you
My
just
brain
release
has my
these.
brain has also officially got a name disability. I've been coaching fencing for almost a year, and I see these kids every motherfucking week, and a
Mm.
solid half of them I cannot remember their names.
Oh, really?
There is this family who I do private lessons with. I see this mum every week. Couldn't tell you her name. I know it sounds kind of like axolotl.
All right.
It's just not
It's
there.
and before, well, in years ago, was your memory for names pretty good? Is that something that's
I
come
don't think
on?
I was. I don't think I was known for it, but it wasn't this bad.
Right, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I've had a similar thing with my face recognition.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
remember, yeah.
Never used to be an issue. So I've got, generally a pretty good, a good memory for like really fine details and things from, many, many years ago. And in the last sort of few years, I've started to kind of lose the ability to recognize faces too well. And that can make it really awkward walking into a room because I think, normally you walk into a room and you can confidently look around and see who's there. Whereas I kind of avert my eyes a little and have my earphones in because I don't want to appear rude if I don't recognize someone.
Mm,
And it can happen, like say if I'd not seen you for, 3 months, and you said, okay, we're going to meet in this cafe, I would be nervous about walking in that I wouldn't recognize you straight away. And we've been
yeah.
friends for years, so it happens. And like when my dad comes back from the UK, every single year I'm sitting at the airport thinking, I don't know if I'm going to recognize him. And like with most people, I can kind of, it will take me, maybe 30 seconds and it's like, okay, I can place this person. Um, but it's definitely a new thing in my life to look at a
So
face
when
and
I come round to your house, is it just you know I'm coming round, so you're like, oh, it's Steve.
yes, yeah, it makes it a lot easier. When people are in context, it can
Hmm.
make it a lot easier.
Okay.
Um, like if I'm going to somebody else's house, I know it should be them. But like I had a friend, and this was a few years back, not many many years back, but a few years back. Um, I'd had a friend who I'd studied with in Wellington, and we were really good friends, and we'd arranged, that yeah, she'd come to Nelson and we'd hang out. And then she came down to visit, but as a surprise, and so she'd organised it with my friend. That she would, knock on the door and there she'd be. And so I was at my mate's house and there was a knock on the door, and she went, "Oh, can you get that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I opened the door, and then this lady was standing there and went, "Hello," and I was like, Hello." And then she went, "Oh, look, you're all shocked." And I was like, "Yes." And it took so long. She gave me a hug and went, "Oh, look, you're all emotional. You can't talk." And it was like so overwhelming that this stranger had just walked in and was hugging me and was really effusive with, glee at seeing me. And then it was like, "Oh, okay, yep, I know this person. Right, okay." And really trying to place her. And then it kicked in. And it's like, that's why people out of context or unexpected um, visits or whatever is really confusing.
You're going to be really good at having dementia when you get old.
I know, just
You're
get
going to
some
have all
practice in
your
early.
coping strategies in place. You're going to be able to lie through the whole thing. You're going to be all over it. People be like, shouldn't they be in a home? No, no. She recognizes me after
Yeah.
a number of minutes and using several misdirects. Wait a minute.
Well, see, that's yeah. I'm really good at pasting normal on, which is why a lot of time it catches people and paramedics out. It's because
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh, she was totally fine," and they tell me about it. I'm like, I have literally no recollection of that event happening. Or yes, I was really badly injured, but ha ha ha, tricked you. Like with my back, they really want me to go to ED,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, it'll be fine. And then they walked out the door, and I literally sat in the chair for 12 hours, going, oh fuck, I fuck, you know. But but yeah, what was I going to say that with the with yeah, no, my brain's just
Okay,
in.
so the topic, let's get back to the topic of the podcast has been giving up and or radical acceptance is
Hmm.
another word that gets thrown around a lot. And I think we've covered that pretty well in that like part of one of the skills that you get from life beating the shit out of you is this ability to move the fuck on. It's it's like the title of the podcast, that laugh, cry or die thing of like I can either live my life fighting, angry, upset, wailing against the truth
Mm.
of the situation, or I
Yeah,
can just get
yeah,
the fuck. I need to make a sandwich. I have to do the laundry. You get
yeah,
this
yeah,
ability to accept that um, some people maybe go their whole lives without learning.
yeah. Because it's like it's gonna happen anyway. So
Mm.
you can curl up in a ball and wait for it to all be over. Or and which I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like we're some kind of superheroes that can power through everything. there are days and sometimes, weeks where it's like, I cannot do this
Yeah,
anymore.
totally.
And I think part of saying the flip side of the giving up is that acceptance is I can't do it anymore. I will curl up on the floor, but I'm not going to act on this because
Mm,
I'll get over it
yeah. I think
because
there's
I have to.
one of my Buddhist teachers. I was going through one of these like phases where I was like, I was just, getting it. I was gonna just work through it and power through, and it's not gonna let my illness stop me and stuff. And if I fall on the horse, I need to get back on it. And he's like, well, sometimes it's important to lay on the ground for a minute after you fall off the horse to just
Yes.
have a moment to be like, wow, that horse just hurled me 20 feet.
Yeah.
Let's chill
Yeah.
for a sec. And I think that's part of where the acceptance comes in of like being able to be comfortable in that space.
Yes. I mean, I'm still, even though it's been like 15 years, I do still struggle with that.
Mm,
And it's a constant work in progress. I don't think you reach a point where you go, I've accepted it. But I think it's something that, you constantly have to work at. A bit like, I mean, I'm not belittling other people's issues, but say, I don't
no,
know,
fuck
an
those people.
alcoholic. Like say someone's an alcoholic, it's not they don't suddenly go, oh, I'm not an alcoholic anymore. It's a lifelong thing. They
Mm,
have to go, okay, today I'm not going to have any alcohol. And then the next day, today I'm not going to have any alcohol. It's a constant work. And I think we have that same sort of issue where you wake up in the morning, shit might hit the fan, and are you going to just get on with it, or are you going to sit in your cave and wait for that day to pass?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, I think that's the big one of like the yes, today is hot garbage. I am just not feeling it. I would really like some void juice to just vanish. But then if I keep putting my foot in front of the other, tomorrow's going to be another day. It might be more shit, but it's going to at least be different.
yeah, that's it. And so I've started to try and add the phrase at the moment or right now to
Mm.
negative things that I think. It's like, I'm feeling really shit at the moment.
Yeah, the one of the ones I like to use from it's from improv is yes and. It's like
Right.
yes, this is terrible and
Yeah.
now I need to do something. It's like you have to kind of be like, okay, this is the way things are. Let's stop fighting against reality and try and accomplish something. Like, yes, my stomach hurts, and yes, I'm not going to be able to do as much as I wanted to, but I can at least make my surroundings clean and tidy. I can at
Yeah, yeah.
least, practice basic self care. And
Yeah,
like,
if there's like if there's one thing, like I tend to have lists of everything I need to do.
mm,
Um, and sometimes I'll put something on the list that I've already done, so I can get a little dopamine hit of ticking off
oh,
the
that's
list.
sneaky.
I know, right? And sometimes the list might be, you know, oh, I've got to, I don't know, do the gardening, and I've got to write a novel, and I've got to go and complete a marathon. Other days it's have a shower, empty the dishwasher,
Yeah,
and
totally.
those little achievements sometimes are all you can achieve for that day, but you are
Yeah.
still achieving them.
And there, I think that when your capability fluctuates like that, the ability to still feel valid for completing these like tasks that would otherwise be like not even noticeable, that
Yeah, yeah,
it's still it's like we were talking about the whole spoon theory thing, and like with normies it's like you know the all of these spoons count, I think, as an achievement if you get through them.
yes, yeah. And so,
uh,
yeah, I've also added a rule into my life that if it's going to take less than 60 seconds, do it straight away. And that's
yeah,
helped
that's
me kind of to keep on top of little things. Like you might spot, I don't know, a cup next to your sofa where you had a coffee earlier.
mm.
And sometimes be like, oh, I've got to go over there and do that because your body's so exhausted. And it's like, that's going to take me less than 60 seconds. I do that now, and that's one thing out of my head.
It's also one thing that if you were to randomly have a seizure, you wouldn't then have to deal with immediately post seizure.
Well, see, that's one of the exciting things if I've injured myself and gone to hospital. and I come round and go, oh, I've hurt myself. Then I come back home and I have to work out the scene of the crime, and it's like, oh, there's some blood on the carpet there, or there's some medical paraphernalia like a part of a band-aid or something, the
Yeah.
wrappers of that, and it's like, and I'm like Poirot walking around the house going, so I must have been sitting on this chair here. And that's one of the weird things is not knowing what the fuck happened. It's like la la la, life. Oh, hospital. Um, People think that having a seizure is scary, and I guess in the grand scheme of things it is. But I'm unconscious when it happens, so it's kind of fine. It's scary for other people, but I have no awareness of it. So it's like, well, okay, that happens. I just randomly have a black eye or a cut or whatever. But
I've got a cut, but for 90 minutes there was somebody spazzing the fuck out.
yeah, it must be quite though my seizures are quite ladylike. I'm not like thrashing around all over the
What?
place.
I
Um,
feel I feel let down and disappointed that you're not doing proper grand mal. I'm angry at you.
I know. Well, I mean they are, but it's kind of I say a misconception or just people's general perception is kind of from movies and stuff that it's the arching back, um, and that thrashing. Whereas talking to various of the hundreds of medical people, they're not generally that that active.
Hmm.
Um, like mine, I tend to curl in more, um, and kind of pulsate. Like it's
So you're like just like all of your muscles are tight.
yes,
Is that kind of what it
yes,
is?
yeah. It's like every single muscle is doing like a like a constant electrical pulse into every muscle, like like the tens machines.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's like that with every single
so
muscle.
your brain is a 9-volt battery, is what I'm hearing.
Pretty much that, yeah, that's short circuiting. um, so it is really good exercise. So you're getting a free workout for half an hour. Uh, but yeah, it's exhausting because of that, and you get aches in muscles that you didn't realize that even existed, like the front of your shins. You get aches and it's like they're really muscles there.
Oh yeah, because I guess those that's will be like flexing your feet kind of thing,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah. But because that's the thing with saying about how they're quite ladylike is one of my young friends, he's my friend's little boy, and I think he was like 13 or something at the time, and he knew about my seizures. We taught him what to do if I have a seizure and all that kind of stuff, and but he'd never seen one, and he was kind of excited for me to have one when he was around, so he could see what it was like. And so it's one day I was at his, and my friend filled me in afterwards on what happened. So he said that I, started having a seizure, and she's like, "Okay, what do you do?" And he jumped up, and he's like, "Okay, you got a pillow for my head," and he's like, "Okay, now we need to call 111." And he was doing all the jobs, so he called the emergency services, and they were asking him all the questions, and then he got a bit like, well, "You should talk to my mum." Gave the phone to her, and then she said that he was because it was in the lounge, and he'd been playing video games, and she said that he was standing there looking at me and then kind of glancing back at the TV and tapping his foot and then looking back at me, back at the computer. And he went, "Can I carry on playing?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And he was quite disappointed because it was pretty boring. It's like there wasn't that much drama.
You
And
have
I know that
been
people like the video
serious. Oh my
games.
God. That I
Yeah.
don't wow, that is some judgy millennial or Gen Z shit.
Yeah, Call of Duty's more important. But
This
like, I
guy
mean,
is
I've had
calling me a fag really loudly. Please murder
yeah,
him.
there's more important things to do. But
Naomi's
like, I mean, I've
seizure
had
is lame.
so there's
D
no drama. I
minus.
mean, I've had seizures at the gym, or at rehearsals for shows, and people haven't even really noticed because
Huh.
not that everyone's just completely ignored it, but say if there's been two or three people around me that are dealing with it, and
Hmm.
calling paramedics, whatever. If there's people there dealing with it and they're kind of shielding me, I'm not disruptive to a room,
How
and
polite.
I know, so
You're a
don't mind
goddamn
me.
lady.
Yeah, I'll just lie here for a moment and shiver around a bit.
Sharon, the spazzy one's vibrating. Oh, leave her in the corner. She'll be all right.
Pull the curtains.
Just don't look. Just don't look. She's gross.
But even with that, like part of this, same with giving up and acceptance is if I have a seizure in a public place, my instinct is never to return to that place again, because it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
But that acceptance of the situation is I'm going to have to go to that place again. And so I try and go there as soon as possible to break that sort of personal taboo about that building or that group of
Yeah, be a
people.
break the seal.
Yeah, and so I will always kind of walk in a bit sheepish and go, "Hey, sorry about that.
I think
That was
that ties back to the vulnerability we talked to in the first episode of like
true,
people,
true."
if people see you having a seizure, they're we have this thing in our heads that it's disgusting and gross and nobody wants anything to do with it, but people want to help, you know?
Yeah, that's something that I've learned over the years is that people quite enjoy having a moment to be a hero.
Yeah,
It's like some
totally.
people may never have in their lives, and hopefully most people are this that have never had to call for an ambulance.
Mm.
And that's wonderful if people never have. But also I'm very kindly I'm giving people the opportunity to have that experience. you know. And but it's like people don't always know.
Right.
But people don't always know what to do in that kind of situation. People may never have called 111, and so they see me having a seizure, and I think most people's initial thought would be, "Oh fuck, I need to do a thing," but then they get to step up, do a good thing, and then like obviously look after me and make sure I'm safe. But then they get to go home and go, "You'll never guess what happened today,"
Mm.
and that's something that they will have probably never experienced. They've probably never seen a seizure before.
I
Majority of people
saved
haven't.
that woman's life.
Yeah, and but people do enjoy having the opportunity.
And
Yeah.
we are generous, beautiful people for giving them that opportunity. But we still feel
Yeah.
so shit about it. That I don't like acceptance and all is great, but that like shame when you have to like rub it in someone's face or that asking for help, that's something that
Yes.
I still really struggle with accepting.
100%. 100%. It's like, yeah, I'll often get the why didn't you call me for a lift home from hospital? And I know that people are genuine and I know people want to help. But at the same point, I'm like, I don't want them to be helping, and
Mm,
it's, I probably should accept more help, but I'm still struggling to be that person who has help all the time.
mm,
Like you say with your current issue with having shit the bed for a couple of nights,
yeah,
it's the people around you are fine with that. You
yeah.
know,
Like,
it
I,
happens,
yeah,
but you still don't want to. You still don't want to do it and go, "Hey, shut the bed." It's still going to be that really internalized judgment of yourself.
oh God, yeah. You spend your
Mm.
whole life not shitting in your bed. It's like
Yeah.
one of your main nighttime jobs.
Yes. Yeah.
And like and I know that like and it's not a huge amount, like it doesn't like get on Rachel's legs or anything. Like it's just a
Yeah. Yeah.
bit of a leak that's a bit annoying and I have to change the
hmm
sheets, but it's still um
You
I've
still don't want
accepted
it
that
to
it
happen.
happens, but I don't like it. And I don't
Yeah.
like it affecting other people. And even when
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
it's fine," like it doesn't. And like she knows it's not like I'm going out getting rip ass drunk and like it's not like I'm doing something to set it off. I just have a broken guts.
Yeah, yeah. And so even though they know it's going to happen, it's like when people have never seen me have a seizure before, they're like, okay, you've told us all about it. We know what's going to happen, and that's fine. And then they see one, and they're still fine. But I feel like, fuck, I've subjected them to something that, not that they didn't sign up for, but that they wouldn't normally have to deal with in a friendship.
Mm.
And like, I piss myself now and again. Luckily, not all the time because I do have the two different types of seizures. So I don't always piss myself. But that's one of the worst things is you come around and obviously, you're sitting there and whoever's looking after you. and your cognitive thinking comes back slowly. So you're like, oh, okay, so I'm in the lounge. Okay, St. John's are here. Okay, or whatever part of me hurts a bit, and so it starts to reboot, and then you get that awareness of, okay, I've pissed myself. Right. And I know what's happened. They know what's happened, but we don't speak of it. And it's like most of the time people are pretty good and will have chucked a towel over you, just to,
Yeah.
even though we all know that that's
A
happened, it's like
slice of dignity.
a slice of dignity. But sometimes I'll kind of just, oh, I'm just going to move over here. No, I've accidentally picked up a cushion. No, I'm hiding myself. And
Mm.
it's like, even though everyone's okay with it, and it's not, I generally it's not that big of a deal. It's still mortifying. It's like I've still pissed myself. And as grown-ups, we generally don't piss and shit ourselves.
No,
It's
no,
like,
generally.
yeah, we do.
Hooray for radical acceptance!
Yeah, how freeing, how liberating.
I'm so accepting of this
I just
thing.
pee freely. I don't even bother with the bathroom anymore. I just sit here and piss myself. Hey, I'm fine with that.
The Queen of Wheeze. The
Yeah, well, I'm the
Queen of
queen of the
Wheeze.
spazzes, so you know.
Well, there you go. So I think, like, the end of the day, having these things forces you to get better at the acceptance. But I don't think if anyone tells you they've completely conquered a thing in all of its situations and timings, then they are a fucking liar.
Yes, yeah.
Because you can get better at stuff, but stuff will always still win.
You can complete each level, but you're never going to beat the big boss at the
No,
end of the
because well, then
game.
you're dead. I think that's
Yeah,
death. And
yeah,
if you
that's
can
true.
beat death at chess, then you win. I think that was in a move. No, Bill and Ted beat death at Loaded.
No, nice retro reference.
If you think do you think I am unfamiliar with the Bill and Ted canon?
I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
It's
But no,
really good,
by
and as
beating
well as have you seen the new one they did when COVID hit?
no.
There's the one with it's their daughters are in it, and they have a band. It's
Okay.
like it's not. It's kind of like the new Matrix movie. It's like no one needed to make this. No one was like, I have the greatest idea for a film ever. It's like, let's make some money, yo. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's all right. It's a bit of nostalgia, ticks some buttons,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it didn't need to happen.
It's
But it
not
did.
groundbreaking.
No,
Not
no.
everything
But it's
has to be.
fine.
Sometimes things can just be for a bit of a laugh.
Sometimes they can be. And that brings our laugh to an end. It has been almost an hour of us chatting fucking horseshit. We hope that you have enjoyed listening to us. You can find us on all of the different podcasting
It's
places.
a mystery. Go and search it.
See you guys next week.
See ya.